Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. We come together monthly to explore real estate markets all over the world. Our mission is to educate you on the possibilities outside of your city, and right now you may be daydreaming about that, about living somewhere else. It's always fun to do that. And with today's world, it's become real. So whether it's moving your primary home or the idea of buying a secondary home or perhaps even a vacation home that you can monetize and gain some income, we want you to walk away from here with a broadened sense of all of your possibilities. Our objective here is to highlight property offerings of our Keller Williams offices and agents nationally and globally, and to expand your vision. So for those of you who don't know, KW operates over 850 offices in the US and in 50 countries. We are indeed the largest real estate brokerage in the world. In 2019, for homes over $1 million or more, Keller Williams sold 119,000 properties for a volume of 25 billion. Yes, billion. There's a lot of zeros behind that 25. So real estate brokers, we know around the country are experiencing a huge surge of activity, and we're just discovering the ability to be able to live and work anywhere. So the idea of purchasing something like a gold property, it doesn't need to wait any longer. So I'm very excited for today because our focus for today, we're just going to discover the opportunities in the tri-state areas of New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. So a few months ago, I was in Manhattan, and I was so fortunate to be able to spend time with our expert that I'm going to introduce to you first, the suave Mr. Seth Levin. So Seth, tell us a little bit about you, your years in business, your focus, and what differentiates you from the rest.
Thanks, Jeanette. Thank you so much for having me. And it was such a pleasure seeing you in New York a couple months ago and having great conversations about the differences in our markets and the different types of activity that we're seeing. So I'm actually sitting in my office on Park Avenue in Manhattan, and I've been in the real estate business for 18 years in New York City, 14 years at another firm, Douglas Elliman in New York, where I was ranked in the top 20 company-wide. Came over with my partner about 4 years ago to help found the Tribeca office, which is downtown Manhattan, where our team has been Sales Team of the Year every year. We work in a range from about 300,000 to about 20 million. We work with first-time home buyers, investors, luxury buyers, luxury sellers, and we really run the gamut from Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and most recently to Long Island as well.
Beautiful. You are fortunate to cover some of my most favorite areas in the U.S. So next, I am so excited to introduce to you the lovely Vanessa Pollock representing New Jersey. Vanessa, what can you share about yourself with us?
Thank you so much. I'm just so excited to be here with all of you today. So I am sitting in South Orange, New Jersey, which is exactly a 28-minute train ride from Midtown Manhattan. So due west of where Seth was just talking about by half an hour. We serve all of the commutable suburbs in New Jersey for folks who typically would be commuting into Manhattan, into Brooklyn. So just about all those towns, 30 to 60 minutes from New York City. I have been serving this area for 16 years now. I'm proud to lead the #1 team for our market. And truly, it really has been an honor serving this community with our mission and motto of care, serve, give. We truly care about every single person we serve, no matter their price point. We want to serve them with the best real estate service that they can find in the industry. And we're a generosity-based business. We truly want to make an impact in the community that we serve through both our business practices, but also how we give back charitably for marketing and closing gifts. And I'm just grateful to be here to talk about our awesome area.
I love that care, serve, give. That is beautifully stated, Vanessa. Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. And it's my pleasure next to introduce to you Mr. David Kong, who will share with us one of my favorite places in the U.S., in the world, probably, the Hamptons. So, Mr. Kong, welcome.
Thanks for having me here. Good to be here with everyone. Such amazing people, as well as experts in their areas. Let me introduce myself. My name is David Kong of the Levin Kong team, founding partner with Seth Levin, who you just met. He did a great job introducing our team. Like he mentioned, we cover from Manhattan all the way to the Hamptons. I'm coming to you guys live here from Manhasset, which is the tip of the Gold Coast area of Long Island. We've been servicing this area for the past 4 years as we expanded out from Manhattan. I started my business in the city back in 2008 when I got married, right after the financial crisis, but have settled here in Long Island and been servicing this area as well.
You're in Manhasset. I'm not going to feel sorry for you today, David. That's gorgeous. And lastly, from gorgeous Connecticut, my equally gorgeous and wonderful friend, Christine Ricci. I just love saying your last name, Christine. What would you like to tell us about yourself?
Well, I just want to say thank you. It's such an honor to be a part of everyone that's on this Zoom call today. It's an honor to be in business with all of you, not only as partners, but as friends. You guys are an extension of the real estate community. So I've been serving Westchester County, New York, and Fairfield, Connecticut for 25 years. I started in the business with rentals and specializing in international and domestic relocation. It is one of my favorite things, is moving people across the world or even across the country and really educating. Our company is based on educating and hand-holding them through the process and delivering an experience of a high customer service. It's something that I built my entire legacy of my team on. So we're based in White Plains in a flagship office of Keller Williams, and we service the Fairfield County area, which includes Greenwich, some of the areas that people are familiar with, Greenwich, Connecticut, and then also Scarsdale and Rye, New York. So those are the top areas that we service. But again, we work with investors. We have a rental division and a sales division, so we're able to navigate both sides of the business with everyone. So we really enjoy and we take pride in helping families buy their real estate and build dreams.
Well, for those of you viewing today who are not familiar with our experts, I want you to know that they are experts in the truest sense of the word. Their wealth of knowledge is formidable, and most importantly, they have huge servants' hearts. So thank you all for your generosity in sharing with us today. So our format is as follows. We're going to have a series of Q&A. All the experts will take their turns answering questions, and at the end, we're going to share some of the properties in each of their respective areas. It's always fun to close out by looking at real estate. And at the end, audience, know that we're going to have contact information for each one of our experts. So please be prepared to take a screenshot, a photo of that, and enter those into your contacts for future business, because they can be the resource for you and your clients. So let's go ahead and get started. I was reading recently, I'd love to hear, whatever comments any of you can jump in. I did some research preparing for today, and ABC had a digital piece on the net. And I'm just going to read a couple bits and pieces from you. For you, rather. They're talking about the perception of what is happening in your area, but how really business is booming. I mean, business is up. It says Greenwich, Connecticut, the number of contracts signed went up 186% compared to this time last year. In the Hamptons, contracts went up 104%. In Westchester, it says agents have seen more activity, and they're not even sure if the market has peaked. They're talking about areas of Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island. And as far as Manhattan goes, just the opportunities that exist for people to go in and purchase these properties that, we know in 5 years or possibly even shorter are really going to be trading at some high dollars. So we can't believe everything we read, but does anyone feel comfortable chiming in on any of the stats that I just shared?
Yes, actually, and it's very interesting for me because born and raised in Westchester, living in Connecticut now. So I was able to really see this past year the change. I was essential in Fairfield, Connecticut, and non-essential in New York. So literally crossing a border. In our luxury market, which was stagnant, it was like very stable, very status quo for many years. And last year, in 2019, we started seeing a boost. So I ran the luxury market in Greenwich just to see where we are, and it's up 25% on the 1.5 million plus, just from the same time last year, from May until November. So that's tremendous. And now what we're seeing is the same thing in Westchester, our high-end market, because we are seeing an influx of New York City clients move out of Manhattan, and not because they're fleeing the city. They're looking for their second home opportunities that they kind of put on hold, and now they found, let me try this now. So they're not like dumping their apartments in Manhattan. It's actually the opposite. They're holding those assets and looking at second home opportunities. So it's a really different view than what you're hearing, because you're saying, wow, 1 million people left, but not really. So the opportunities, and now what we're finding is we're finding very limited inventory. I don't want to say low, but limited. So there's price points that are we don't have the prop. So it jumps from like 2 million to 4 million. So that 2 million to 4 is very low, limited inventory. But we're seeing great cash buyers. We're even seeing buyers take advantage of the low interest rates that are out there with the products out there in the jumbo market. So we're seeing a really stable influx. Westchester and Connecticut. My inventory is like 3 months and 5 months in the luxury market.
Wow, that's incredible. And David, I was just in the Hamptons, and actually, I have some people moving from the Hamptons. They're going to be renting the condo that I've been in for years. They are, I mean, you can't even find property. I mean, the numbers that they were sharing with me were astonishing. And of course, I'm one of those weird people, realtors, that even on vacation, I go and look at property. So of course there I was. But I thought, gosh, I should have bought something years ago when I was first thinking about it. But the market there is on fire. Is that not correct?
It's correct. I was working with some buyers back in January, and back then we would automatically discount 10 to 20% off the asking price. And everybody was crying that the market was so slow. But since March, since the virus hit and we shut down, there's been a frenzy of rentals going on in the Hamptons, and that's kind of parlayed into a really hot sales market. And if you break down the market at different price points, we're seeing crazy numbers here. Under $1 million, it's up 30%. 1 to 2 million, it's up 61%. Sales 2 million to 3.5, up 70%. 3.5 to 5, it's up 180%. And this one blows me out of the door. 5 to 10 million, it's up 333% over last year. So it's not just, yeah.
Wow.
So it's been on fire. And then similar things have been happening throughout Long Island as well. Not at those numbers, but we're seeing an average of about 9.1% uptick overall in the market for the island as a whole. So it's been pretty hot here. And some other things that have been interesting is that, to Christine's point, people aren't exiting the city. They are forwarding their mail. So it is their second homes. People were sending it out there. In the new norm, kids don't have to go back to school so quickly. So people are staying out in the island and in the Hamptons. So yeah, people haven't just vanished from the city. I mean, I don't know too many people that would like to take a 20% hit on their asset in the city that's worth 3 to 5 million, then all of a sudden move out. So the story is, right. Yes, parts of the story is true, but it's not the full picture. And I'm sure Seth will talk about that. Yeah.
Vanessa, what can you tell us about your market of the moment?
Well, I'm actually really curious to hear Seth talk, because I think a lot of my market is because of his market. We're in the suburbs in New Jersey, and the majority of people who are moving here right now are fleeing the Manhattan apartments. They did not want to continue to be in cramped quarters, riding elevators with strangers, crammed on the sidewalks, pushing strollers and walking dogs down, the crowded streets. So a lot of people who were planning to move to the suburbs in 2 to 4 years, their timeline just got compressed, and they said, you know what, we're out. We're not going to wait till the kids start kindergarten. We're going to go now. So we've seen our prices go up anywhere from 7%, 9%, 14% year over year in our suburbs. And our rate of absorption, which for our viewers is how long it takes for every home to sell that's currently on the market if not another house came on the market. So we're at 0.8 months. Wow. Less than a month, it would all be sold. And I heard recently, and Seth, you'll have to tell me if this is correct, that the rate of absorption in Manhattan was like 18 months. No?
13.
Say again?
13.
13. Okay. So just a staggering difference, right? And I think much like what Christine was saying, we don't have no inventory, but we do have limited inventory. Our inventory in our region is down. Over the summer, we were looking at 60 to 70% fewer homes for sale in our area than last year. Now we're close to like a 38% fewer homes for sale than last year. So it's not that we don't have anything to sell. It's just all selling like that. It's a very challenging time. And yet it's an exciting time because there are still some great opportunities to be had. And for our sellers who are choosing to make a move right now, it's profound what's happening right now in their sale price. It's life-changing.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I always say no matter the market, there's opportunity. Whether you're a buyer or seller, there's opportunity. It's really the job of the agent to find that for their client. And I know that you all do an exceptional job at that. Last but not least, Seth, you are the man of the moment. Everybody wants to hear what you have to say about your market.
Well, it's incredible to be able to share this, time with such great agents in the area that, we all have very synergistic relationships with each other. Our markets have synergistic relationships. And you were talking about finding opportunity. One of the things that really sets our team apart is we're very data driven. Most of our clientele are finance people. So we're really analyzing micro markets, looking for opportunity regardless of the market. However, obviously New York has had a lot of buzz surrounding what's going on in our market. Some of it is true. Most of it, unfortunately, is not actually exactly what's going on. So we have had, record inventory. We had about 10,000 units. Normally, we would have about 7,000 on the market. So we were up about 30% in inventory. But when people are talking about the exodus from New York, it was mostly well-heeled New Yorkers going to their second homes in New Jersey and Connecticut, in the Hamptons. My wife and I spent most of our time out east, and we came back to the city when things normalized. It's the same thing with our clientele. And the people that mostly left the city in that first wave were renters. What we would see when we were walking through the street, when I was walking my dog around Manhattan, I would see mattresses and couches on the street. People that are moving to new homes don't leave their mattresses and couches. But renters that are moving home to their parents leave their mattresses and their couches. So we had a lot of renters leave the city. We have about 20% vacancy in our rental market currently. A lot of that is actually underreported. I would imagine it's more like 30% vacancy because, first of all, there's a moratorium on eviction. Second of all, there are, it's lagging indicator as far as who really left the city and who didn't. We had 400,000 change of addresses issued in early on in the pandemic, but most of those were people that went to their second homes. Real estate in New York is a very slow moving vehicle to start with. It takes about 3 months to close on a property. So when the news started to talk about everybody leaving the city, but nobody can sell their apartments, those two things really didn't add up. So what we saw was, a family of 4 living in a converted 2-bedroom rental in New York City paying $6,000 a month when they can spend less than that on a mortgage for $1 million home in the suburbs. To Vanessa's point, it expedited moves that were inevitable in a 4-year perspective. Time horizon became a right now time horizon. So I sent a lot of referrals to Long Island, to New Jersey for my clientele that was probably going to stay here for 3 or 4 more years and then moved out. But what we're seeing in Manhattan is a lot of discount as you move up in the market. So under 600,000, which does exist in New York, we're only seeing about 4% discount from last year because low interest rates, first-time home buyers are swooping in, taking advantage of those low interest rates. When you look at properties 600,000 to $1 million, we're at about 6% discount year over year, which is still not what the rest of the country might think is going on here. But then when you get a little bit higher, when you get into that 2 to 5 million, we're looking at about 11% discount. And when we're getting into the real luxury segment of the market, 5 to 10 million, we're seeing close to 15% discount. But if you look at new development, we've achieved 20% discounts since the beginning of the pandemic. So we're data driven. We look at different micro markets and we help our clients find the opportunity of the moment. Because right now, for instance, 1-bedroom co-ops, we have co-ops and condos. The 1-bedroom co-op in Chelsea, 62% of that inventory is in contract. But 2-bedroom condo in the financial district, only 9% of that inventory is in contract. So it's a tale of 2 cities within 1 city. Brooklyn was on fire while Manhattan was languishing. Now it's actually the opposite, where Brooklyn has slowed down and Manhattan is really starting to pick up. But our second home buyers are finding value almost across the board at this point.
Yeah, as I was saying, there's always opportunity in every market. And so for anyone who's considered getting a little pied-à-terre in the city, now's the time to purchase that. I mean, one of the ways you make money in real estate is purchasing at the right price to begin with. So there's great opportunity there. In the city, I mean, you're still doing a lot of business in Brooklyn and Queens and Staten Island. So it's like, I think in any city, there's micro markets and a lot, devil's in the details. So finding those opportunities, I mean, they're definitely there. Just the buyer needs to pick up the phone and ask.
Exactly. So I was actually out looking at a second home with a cardiac surgeon from Kentucky today. And, he's always wanted to buy in New York, but we had the conversation when everybody's running, that's the time to run in. So another story, I recently helped a client of mine sell his multi-million-dollar property in Florida because Florida market's hot. And now he's coming to buy $6 million in New York City. He's doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. That was the time to run in and take advantage of New York City on sale, which rarely happens. It's
right.
Very, I've been in the business 18 years. Twice has New York City been on sale. This is the second time.
9/11 in 2008?
Well, I got into the business after 9/11. So for me, it was 2008 and the current market.
Oh, I see. I just showed how much older I am than you. Okay, Vanessa, I would love to know, that what would you say is an opportunity in your market right now? What are you seeing maybe untapped that is getting overlooked that might be attractive to some of our listeners?
Yeah, so we have a lot of towns that are that 45-minute and under time frame commute into the city that are still showing really, really hot. But then we've got towns like Chatham, New Jersey, that's a little bit longer train ride, about an hour to hour 15. Well, in the COVID virtual reality, a lot of people don't need to commute into the city more than once a week or once a month eventually. And so Chatham's actually trading at 98% of list price right now versus Maplewood South Orange, which is at 104%, and a Montclair, New Jersey, that's at 110%. So right there, that you can just walk into Chatham, and if you're willing to tack on about 15 to 20 minutes to your commute into the city, you're going to get a lot more house for your money. Now, there are also some really great towns that don't have their own dedicated train station into New York City. They're train town adjacent, like Springfield, New Jersey, where you have a little bit lower taxes, you get a little bit more house for your money, and that's also trading at about 98% of list price. And West Orange, New Jersey as well, which is trading right at 100% of list price. And West Orange is literally 3 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, and I can walk to the train station from my house. So you're going to get more house for your money in West Orange, New Jersey than in South Orange, New Jersey, just because they don't have a train station. So we're helping our buyers have a regional approach when they think through what towns they want to consider, and really try to think through what are their commuting needs, what are their schooling needs, what are the long-term needs, to be sure that we help put them into a town that really, like you said, to your point, they're gonna do well when they buy. And also helping them just really look for what we like to call the ugly duckling, right? The homes that just, they need paint, they need the floors done, they just aren't looking great on Zillow. And to me, that's the money house. That's where I want to show the ugly duckling to my buyer and cast the vision. So if I can go to those towns that are trading a little bit less and find the under marketed property, then they're just stepping into equity when they buy it.
Yeah. So what would you say is your average price point in your area?
650,000.
So for 650, what could I buy?
You can get a really nice 4-bedroom, 1 or 2 full bath home with an average lot size of 50 feet wide and 100 feet deep, a 2-car garage, and either a jitney ride to the train station, which is this cute little bus that drives around our villages and takes you to the train station, but probably not a walk to the train at 650.
And how about 1 million? If I had $1 million, where would you direct me? What would you sell me?
Well, still in these towns, I would say you really make your money when you buy, and it's location, location, location. So if we can help you find a home that is within a 10-minute walk to any of the train stations, those are the neighborhoods that crash last and recover first. So I would definitely have you walking distance to one of the train stations.
So Christine Ricci, I have to say your last name when I see your first name because I love it. I love it so much. If I had $1 million, would I be in Greenwich, Scarsdale, White Plains? Where would you put me?
Oh, boy. So let's read about what's happening in Westchester County. We have 3 train lines, so that we actually have a lot of area to cover. We have the Hudson line, we have the Harlem line, we have the New Haven line. So in Westchester, you actually, and going into Putnam County, you can get a lot of value for your money. And our homeowners that are about 1.5 hours, 1 hour and 15 minutes, like a Beacon, New York, is now an area that's really sought after. And you can get, for $1 million, you could get a nice 4-bedroom home, 3-bathroom, 3,000 square feet, because you're 1 hour and 15 minutes from New York City, and now they have an express train as well. So just like Vanessa was saying, because of the remote ability that everybody's seeking right now, or that we're in, that commute time a couple of days a week, they're willing to do it versus 5 days. So on the Westchester side, we're seeing about 1 hour and 15-minute commute into New York City, $1 million. So I put a property on the market 2 years ago for 1.2. Couldn't get one showing. I put it on in June, and we sold it for $250,000 more. So that 1 hour cutoff is still extremely high, but the minute you go 10 minutes on a train, it opens up, you get about a $200,000 more value for your money, like on a size of a home, size of a lot. And in Connecticut, Greenwich has very low taxes, but higher price point. So in Greenwich, for $1 million, you get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, about 1,600 square feet. So not a lot for your money. When you jump up to 2 million, 2.5 million, but taxes are 50% less than Westchester. Taxes on a $2 million home are $12,000, and a $2 million home in Scarsdale is $55,000, $60,000. So you can buy more house for your money in Greenwich. When you pop up to Stamford, Norwalk, Westport, you have the water, you can get a 5,000 square foot home for between 1 million and 2 million. So a lot of opportunity. You have the train line accessible. We're a very fortunate county that we have 3 different lines going right into Grand Central, which makes it a very affluent county and also accessible. So we do have inventory to sell, and we have a lot of new inventory, and we do have add value as well.
So everybody's kind of referring to how long it takes to get to the city, but not everybody does that. I mean, people live in your areas without ever doing that commute, not just now, but that was never part of their program. I mean, there's wonderful places to live and work outside of Manhattan as well. David, now the Hamptons are kind of special to me. I've been there many times. I have a lot of great memories there. And one of my favorite things is for people who want to buy a second home. And of course, I'm just speaking about Texas because that's where I'm coming from, Austin, Texas. I love the fact that I can fly into JFK. I can get on the train at JFK and get dropped off in Bridgehampton or East Hampton or Montauk or whatever. I mean, I think sometimes people don't realize how accessible it is in comparison, like something like Nantucket. You got to fly to Boston. You got to, you could take another little jumper, but then you got to drive to the ferry. Then you got to get on the ferry. Then you got to take the ferry. I mean, it's just a lot. But the Hamptons, from many parts of the U.S., because of the connection to JFK, is so simple. I mean, I think that's a big bonus for anyone that's looking for a second home, or maybe accelerating their 10-year plan, which we know a lot of people are doing right now, and buying a place that they can enjoy later and maybe even rent out and monetize that. So what can you share with us about that market in the Hamptons and all the opportunities there?
Sure. Although prices have gone up a lot, there are still lots of opportunity. Although the percentages are up, if you drive around the Hamptons, you'll notice it feels like almost every other house has a for sale sign with at least 2 brokers. It's because a lot of people are often trading up or doing things like that. The bulk of the business has been under $2 million in the Hamptons. I'm actually meeting with the developer on Friday, looking at a property in West Hampton for $650,000. He's going to put in about $900,000 and probably sell it for 2.2. So if you have the wherewithal to kind of get something and build something that's your vision, there's plenty of opportunities there. And you can kind of, I can't say $1 million, but you're going to be a little bit on the less expensive side there, and you'll have what you want, and you can keep that forever. And it'll be a great investment. A lot of times people have homes in the Hamptons, they'll rent it out for 2 or 3 months of the summer, and that covers all their expenses for the year, and they can still enjoy some time there. So there's always opportunity in the Hamptons. Seth's brother, just a little anecdotal story here, bought a property, I think it was 1.7, and put about $1.5 million, and I think he was offered 5.5 before finishing the home. So, for a second home, it's not a bad opportunity there.
Will you put some numbers, and I know this is kind of a very broad request, but I think people can't quite grasp the money that other people are willing to spend for a rental in the Hamptons. Can you put kind of a number to some of the rentals prices that you're seeing? And I think that'll help kind of formalize in people's brains, if they purchase something there and leased it out, how they can monetize an investment like this.
Sure. Unlike other markets during the summer, people rent out their homes monthly. So even a modest home that's probably around 1.2, you could rent out for between $7,000 to $8,000 a week, which is pretty significant. Like I said, when I was looking with my buyer in January, that's exactly what we're looking at. It was a house for 1.2. The owner wanted to keep it till September because he had tenants or renters at $7,000 a week for the summer. So now it's a little bit more because of the higher demand. So you could see quite easily how it could be a good investment. You can spend a little bit more, but you'll have that income behind it in order to support it.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask Seth before because I want to get to properties here in just a minute. You had mentioned, I think I wrote it down, Did you say something about a $650,000 property in New York? Was that you?
I did not, but we have properties in our inventory right now, 450,000, the multi-millions. There are opportunities in New York at 650.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, what I wrote down is you had said you covered 300,000 to 20 million. But back to Manhattan, because I think people have this idea that it's multi-millions to buy anything in Manhattan. What could you buy for, let's say, under $1 million?
Okay, perfect example. We have a listing right now. Our client moved back to England. Him and his wife actually bought a small one-bedroom in a non-doorman building in Midtown Manhattan, 50th Street between 2nd and 3rd. It's on the market for $485,000. The building is a co-op, which is much more restrictive than a condo. A condo is just like a house. You have the same rights to rent it, to sell it to anybody you want. The co-op dictates who you can rent to, the type of person financially that you can sell to. This is a very lenient co-op, and the buyers are actually in Boulder, Colorado, and they're buying this as a second home. Today, I was with a surgeon who's buying a second home in the $1.8 million price point. I've got a gentleman in Cincinnati, Ohio, who we're talking to about a second home in the $6 million range. So it's really depends on what people are looking for, but you can find, really the condo market is truly the second home market. The co-op market, although you can hold it as a pied-à-terre, typically second home buyers want the flexibility if they want to rent it, for instance, if they want to monetize the property. They could do that with a condo, or a co-op is much more restrictive. So in order to get into a one-bedroom condo in Manhattan, the entry point is about $800,000. But for something, if you live in a very nice home in Austin, Texas, or in Los Angeles, you're probably going to find something that would meet your expectations, starting at about 1.2 million for a one bedroom and starting at about 1.8 million for a two bedroom in a doorman building with amenities, with some sort of view, with a second bathroom in that two bedroom. So, for something that's really going to inspire joy, you're probably looking at about 1.2 as an entry level in Manhattan, but you can find stuff for about 700.
Well, I think that's surprising. I mean, I was showing condos this morning, and it's pretty hard in Austin, Texas. And I know we've got a little baby downtown compared to Manhattan, of course, but it was pretty hard to find anything that would inspire joy. I'm going to steal that from you, by the way. I really like that. For less than $1 million, 2, 3, or 4. I mean, we were looking up to 2.5 before we were really starting to get excited. So I think we might have bigger square footage, but the price point, the price point is surprisingly not that far off. So that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. So I want to get on to properties, because everybody loves that part. So I'm going to have Albert switch the screen for us so that we can get on to the properties that you've shared. I'm not sure who's going to be going first, but it will pop up here in just a second. Look at that beautiful shot we have of pre-COVID skating in Central Park. I have to say, I don't think that's any time recently, but it looks awfully nice. And we'll get going here in just a second. And what I want you to do when so Vanessa, you're first, is just share with us a little bit about this property and kind of what makes it special. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, so we have the majority of northern New Jersey was built in the 1920s and 30s. So almost everything out here is going to be a colonial in nature, and that's actually the next property we'll look at. But I wanted to show this one because we do have a handful of very unique mid-century modern homes in our area that were built in the 1950s and 1960s. And we recently listed this property, and it was in the spring, and it was listed for $873,000. And like it says, 5 bedrooms, 3 full baths, just shy of 3,000 square feet and on just over half an acre. It is walking distance to the Maplewood, New Jersey train station, which is about a 42-minute ride into Midtown Manhattan. We received 11 offers on this property after the first weekend, and it closed out at $961,000. And it's kind of an iconic home for Maplewood. Everyone drives by it. It is on a busier street and knows that there's this really special mid-century modern home there. So I was very, very honored to represent it and do all of the staging and the marketing for it and see that kind of return for our seller at the height of COVID, really, when we were, locked down. So yeah, it's a special one. And I was thrilled that our seller was able to do as well as she was.
That's beautiful. That would fly off the market here. Everyone loves mid-century modern. And this is spectacular as well. How cute.
So this is more, if you look at the image on the upper right-hand corner, it's more of a Georgian colonial. Again, has an Art Deco feel, built in the 1920s. We like to offer our clients a customized pricing and marketing approach. And this particular seller asked to not come on the market and to be an exclusive listing with us and to help her get it sold under the radar. And through our agent-to-agent marketing, we were still able to get her multiple offers, and her list price was actually 1.15, and it closes out the Monday after Thanksgiving. And I will tell you that it is closing out for $100,000 more than that list price without even having come on the market. But like it says here, 6 bedrooms, 3 full baths, just shy of 4,000 square feet. This is not walking distance to the main train station in South Orange. It is walking distance to a smaller train station that does not have the same train line. It's not as fast, but it's a beautiful historic neighborhood called the Montrose District in South Orange that is highly desirable for our area because of these really classic homes. This home was a tank. I mean, we're talking like 15-inch cinder block and brick walls. Like I just fell in love with it, and was again thrilled for our seller, and the family that's moving in is just going to love it to pieces. It's really special.
It's beautiful. I love that and good acreage.
Yeah.
Love the trees. Christina Ricci, New York. How do you pronounce this? Katanoa?
Katona.
Katona.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is actually the property that I had mentioned. So I sold this property 8 years ago to a client from New York City, and this was their actual second home. So they renovated the whole interior. You could see they opened up all of the walls and made it a beautiful open layout, renovated the kitchen, made it all really clean, lines. So they put a lot of work into this home, and they bought this home for 1.275 8 years ago. And so they decided that they wanted to buy a farm. So they decided, let's sell this home and let's go buy a farm because we want to have our own vegetables and gardens and goats. I mean, like the whole 9 yards. I don't know where she came from, but she ended up selling this home to a friend of hers that was an investor. And so he bought this home from her for $950 last year. She just wanted the cash and moved on. And so then she introduced me to him. He was looking for waterfront, and this house has a tenant in it. And in June, I was able to market the home with the tenant in place. This is the house that sold for 1.475. So she sold it to him for $950 1 year ago.
And what do you know what this property leased out for?
They were leasing it for $6,000 a month, which was an absolute steal. So if the property was vacant, I could have easily gotten them $20,000 a month. It has a pool. It's basically a resort lifestyle on over 2 acres of property. There's horses. I mean, this is the horse country. Todd Road is a very beautiful street in Katona That's only about 8 to 10 minutes to the Cantona Village, which is about 63 minutes to New York City. Charming ice cream shops, the cute little walkability. And this is it's about 5 minutes or 8 minutes to 684, which is a major interstate. This home has a guest suite on above the garage that has a private ensuite, 4 bedrooms, but what really sold it was the resort lifestyle. So 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 4,200 square feet on 3 acres. But it's great because it has a whole history of I sold it to them, they sold it, and then they were able to get $500,000 more.
So Christine, can I ask you, if someone purchased this to use for part of the year, do the restrictions allow them to rent this monthly?
Yeah, they can rent this. This is a single family home. It's not in a development, so you can do what you wish. There's no restrictions on short-term, long-term. You can do bi-weekly, weekly. The tenants that lived in this home were from Germany, and they ended up moving back to Germany, but they had a wonderful experience. But I sold the home with the tenant in place, which was actually not easy to do, but we had 17 showings, virtual showings. I went to the home. I showed it 17 showings in one day, virtually via FaceTime. We got 9 offers on the property in one weekend with the tenant, and they closed with the tenant in place. So
Wow.
it's really, and now he's like my biggest fan. He wants to give me all of his apartments. And by the way, Seth, that's the client, that's the investor for New York City that we talked about. This was his.
It's lovely. It's a lovely property.
Yeah. And this home again has a very long history with me as well. I sold this home to these homeowners 12 years ago. They bought this home. It only had the middle section. It was a cape style home. It was about 1,800 square feet. They moved in from California, and they ended up expanding this home from 1,800 square feet to 4,200 square feet. And they too, in January, they called me, Christine, we want to move to White Plains. We want the walkability. We want city living. And they were downsizing from country living, 1 acre. Both of their boys are in college and they're empty nesters soon. And they said, we want to be city livers. And then the virus hit, and they ended up just closing on a bank property, and they ended up buying their family estate in Bedford, New York with me. So here we are, 12 years ago, I sold them this home. They relisted it with me. We put this home on the market in May, virtual showings only. And then we ended up selling it to a client from Hoboken, New Jersey that moved to the suburbs. And it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, beautifully, completely renovated. They've renovated and expanded the right and the left of the home. And it sits on 1 acre. It's in Dodge Farms in Chappaqua, New York, where the Clintons live. And they actually, 10 years ago, the village placed sidewalks, so you could actually walk to the train from here, and it's 47 minutes down to New York City. So it has a lot of history, both of those homes, repeat clients, all trusting, knowing that we know how to market their homes, and we really help them navigate through the toughest times to get their luxury home sold.
It looks so charming. Really lovely. Thank you for sharing that with us. David, you are on deck.
Oh, nice. Okay. 222 Brookville Road. This is in Muttontown. Muttontown is a little bit north of Jericho. It's kind of on the cusp of the Gold Coast, which I mentioned earlier. This house was a bank home. Chase had to sell it because the original owner had gone to jail, and he was in arrears with taxes.
Oops.
So very interesting. I think there was a little, okay. So we listed this during COVID, had 30 virtual showings. A couple of times, I think the door was left unlocked and a few people went in. Finally, it was purchased by actually a neighbor who's gonna move in, rebuild on his lot, and then sell this one in about 2 or 3 years, probably make $1 million on it. But it's a beautiful, 7,000 square foot, classic Victorian. So it's a beautiful home. Yeah.
And lovely acreage, almost 4 acres.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, this
Correct.
is beautiful.
Yeah,
This is why I
3.7.
love the Hamptons. I love this architecture.
Yes, obviously with the cedar shingles, this was built by a well-known builder back in 2017. They put it on the market originally in April of 2019. Didn't have anything happening, but during COVID, suddenly there was interest. There was a renter in place, and we ended up closing about a month ago on this one. Has all of the style that you love of the Hamptons, almost like the Dutch arch, the Dutch frames. It's about a little under an acre, 0.81 acres, 2-car garage with a little studio loft above it, which is nice. So if you have a guest that you want away from you, it's perfect for that. So another beautiful, beautiful home.
That is so pretty. We might have to talk later.
Yes.
Okay, Seth, finish this up, sir.
Okay, so I selected 2 properties that had a pre-COVID story and a post-COVID story just to demonstrate the changing dynamic in our market. So this is a listing in a building that I've done a lot of deals over the last 2 decades in. It is half a block from the Met. It's half a block from Fifth Avenue in Central Park. And it's actually a combination of the 9C and 9D unit, which have not been combined yet. So 9C is a 2-bedroom we're asking 1.75 for, and 9D is a 1-bedroom that we're asking 1.1 million and asking 2.85 for the combination. Last year, we had a contract out above ask at about 3 million, and something occurred and we actually wound up pulling it off the market. We relisted in March. And the combination is actually not seeing a lot of activity because people don't want to do the construction during COVID. But we just got a very strong offer, $45,000 under ask for the 9C, which is the 2-bedroom unit today. So things are moving, but our prices, as you know, we discussed before, in this kind of price point, they're down about 8%. So this is a co-op. This is a unit that can only be rented twice in the entire tenure of ownership. So this is not a property for someone that's looking to monetize the property. This is a pied-à-terre friendly co-op that's half a block from Fifth Avenue and the Met. So if you live in California, if you live in Texas, or you live in Florida, this is the dream location in Manhattan, in actually a pre-war building that was the first building in Manhattan that had central AC. So it's a very cool building. It's only 56 units. And the my favorite part of this building is it's right off of Fifth Avenue, but it's very understated and it's not a snooty building, which you do find on Fifth Avenue. So this is one of my favorite buildings in New York City, and it's an incredible opportunity. Then this one, oh, that's a nice picture of the sauna. This, in my 18 years of selling real estate, and I've sold as high as 18, 20 million, this is probably my favorite apartment that I've ever sold in New York City. It is a converted brewery from the early 1900s. I believe it was built in 1927. This is an 1,800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a sauna, with about 500 square feet of lofted storage, which is huge in New York City. This is a condo. This can be monetized. In a typical market, you could rent this out for about 15, 16,000 per month. We are asking 3.25 million, which is less than the $2,000 per square foot that this could have sold for in 2016. Last year, 2019, I brought these people an off-market offer for 3.45 million. We're now asking 3.25. So again, demonstrating how the market has softened, and there is a pregnancy of opportunity in New York City. It is ripe for the picking. So I can't stress this enough. New York City is very rarely on sale. People that are saying that New York is not here to stay, they should look at Facebook, which just picked up 750,000 square feet, new square footage of commercial real estate. Disney, which took 1.7 million square feet recently of commercial real estate. Apple, which took a huge amount. Google. We are seeing smart money run in. We're seeing scared money run out. Everybody wants to be with the smart money. This is such an opportunity. You know, we have this condo, we have opportunity throughout New York City. I believe there are 5,000 condos currently on the market in Manhattan. That number normally would be about 3,500. only 22% of that is in contract. That number would normally be about 60% in contract.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, I'm not somebody to, I do like to, you know, the big statements, but this is the best buying opportunity that I've ever seen in New York City.
I agree. I think those were words well said. New York is very rarely on sale. And if people like Google are spending money there, then you know they're smart. They know a thing or two. But we're almost out of time today. We are really hoping we expanded your vision. And if you're a buyer viewing this today, know that attaining the dream of living in your dream lifestyle and a dream home is much closer than you think. And working with these experts, like the ones that presented today, is really the key to that opportunity. Their information is right here. So as I mentioned, please take a picture of this. And thank you so much to our panelists for sharing all their insight today. It was thought-provoking. We know your time is valuable and your generosity is greatly, greatly appreciated. For the audience, my special request of you is that if you're enjoying this and learning from it, please share it, tag your friends, tag your clients, tag other agents that you know of in different markets. If these ideas are even a tiny bit intriguing, reach out to your local Keller Williams agent and start exploring. And please like our Facebook page, Spinelli Residential Group, so that you can hear about future broadcasts. And speaking of that, next month we are going international again. But we started international. We came to back to the U.S., but we are going back out international. So between the coastlines of the Caribbean and the Pacific, and the rugged rainforest and the sparkling beaches of Costa Rica is where you will find us. This time next month, we usually gather on the fourth Thursday, but with Thanksgiving and Christmas, we are 1 week up. So we will see you that third week of December for Costa Rica, and then followed by Greece, Israel. I think we're doing South Africa after that, Turks and Caicos, Portugal, Spain, Dubai, Uruguay. Yes, that is 100% correct. KW has offices in all of those locations, in many, many, many more. So thank you so much, Seth, Vanessa, Christine, Ricci, and David. Thank you so much for sharing your information with us today. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Until next time, from the capital of Texas, Austin, Texas, this is Jeannette Spinelli with the Spinelli Residential Group. Go make it a powerful day. Stay healthy, and above all else, be kind. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.